Jersey Mat Chat.
15 years ago, Champion Athletes was established to help athletes perform better through better nutrition. And we do that by creating an individualized nutrition plan for each person that we work with to maximize their body composition and make them feel their best, both in training and in competition. So Champion Athletes offers individualized nutrition programs for each client that we work with. We start off by having them fill out a questionnaire about their eating habits, what they like, what they don't like, and how their family eats, as well as their goals. We go over the questionnaires, we get to know each other, and then we do a body composition analysis where we measure their muscle mass, their body fat, and then we build a customized meal plan just for them. And our meal plans look like menus, so they're easy to follow. They include a grocery list, and they're based around that family's eating habits. And then we support all of our clients through texting. So in between our appointments, which are about every 4 to 6 weeks, our clients text us their weight, let us know how they're feeling, how their energy is, and we make sure they're progressing towards their goals in between each appointment. If you're looking to bring your performance to the next level, you should look at your nutrition, and Champion Athletes would be happy to help you do that.
All right, guys, thanks for tuning into another episode of New Jersey Mat Chat. We are here at the John E. Hughes Senior Rec Building here in Mullica Township, New Jersey at Seagull Wrestling Club. To my right, we have Seagull's head coach, John Van Brill. John, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate you, man. So we're gonna chat. Let's start off with you. Before we get into the club and get into all the things we want to discuss, let's talk a little bit about John Van Brill, the athlete, the high schooler, before you became a coach and a business owner and things like that. So tell us a little something about John Van Brill. Where'd you go to high school?
Went to Clearview High School in Mullica Hill, New Jersey, right around the corner from here. We got the Pioneer colors behind us. Grew up in this building wrestling. I lived in I call Mullica Hill the perfect American town. It's just nothing bad about it. I can talk great things about Mullica Hill all day long. Had a great experience at Clearview High School. Had everything that you could possibly need to grow up as a young man and a wrestler and an athlete and academically. So had a really awesome high school career. Leading into that, middle school as well, they just prepare you really well for what you're gonna face high school wise, and then growing up and preparing you for college too. Had no problems with, as soon as college time came, getting into schools. The guidance counselors kind of followed me with classes on how to make sure wherever I wanted to go was possible when the time came. So was a little wrestling nerd growing up. Loved wrestling, just was all about it. Wore my wrestling gear and stuff to elementary school, middle school, and then
love it.
Took fifth my freshman year, and then sophomore, junior year, I got away from it a little bit, Like I said, super lively town Mullica Hill is, so sophomore, junior year, I was, hanging out with friends, going down the shore, just hanging out with friends every weekend, and kind of got away from wrestling a little bit, but you got to assimilate in social settings too, so those 2 years were good for me, and then before my senior year.
What years did you attend Clearview High School?
This was 2014 I graduated, so 2011 to 2014.
Gotcha.
And then before my senior year, after those 2 years, I went to a J-Rob wrestling camp. It's a 30-day military-style wrestling camp.
R.I.P. to J-Rob.
R.I.P. to J-Rob. Yeah, great guy.
Heard a lot of things about that camp.
Yeah, it was amazing. Changed my life completely.
A lot of people have said that. Yeah.
Changed my life completely. But then that started a track of training really hard, training like the best guys in the country, really turned things around from my junior to senior year, and then kind of kept that train going through college. So it was a really good experience coming through.
Did anything that you learned from J-Rob, that you apply that now as a coach?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of different things you can go into, not just the stuff that wrestling teaches you, but the type of focus and the type of commitment that you need to have to be one of the best in the country is the thing that I take into everyday life, because I'm in the family business now. Being one of the best pool businesses in the country is, would be a great title to have. I don't know what, metrics, you would need to have that. But yeah, if I want to have a great business, some of the same type of levels of focus and dedication that you need to have that was taught in that camp, I bring to this day. So one of my, they don't run that camp anymore, but one of my life goals is to develop a camp of the same style because it changed my life so much for the kids that I go with now. But obviously during the season, or during the summer season, pool business, super busy. These guys going to Fargo, super busy, so it's a little tough coordinating that, but I'm sure one day I'll be able to get some things together and do something like that.
Define success. Wrestling success. Define it for me. As a 30, you're 30, right?
Yeah.
As a 30-year-old man, define wrestling success.
That's a really good question. Success.
Did you, as a 30-year-old man, in hindsight, did you have a successful high school career?
I did have a successful high school career. I think success is going to be defined by what happens afterwards and how much, like I said, that Clearview set me up for life after that. I think that that is what defines it, right? So if you have a really good high school career and everything kind of falls apart in college, you maybe weren't given the tools that you needed to excel at the next level. Maybe you got the tools that you needed to excel at that level. So I think success in college depends on what happens after, or I'm sorry, high school depends on what happens afterwards. And success in college in the same way is defined by what you do after that, what it taught you to moving forward, and what you're going to do with the life going moving forward. So,
well, silly question: do you take more pride in being a successful coach, or do you take more pride in being a successful wrestler when you competed?
Very good question again. When I wrestled, and especially when I was finished, I always thought my greatest contributions to the sport would be as an athlete and a competitor. But I realize now that my greatest contributions to the sport will be as a coach.
Yeah.
I think the definition was about success in either one. I just think that my greatest contributions are going to come to the sport as a coach, although I feel like I did well as a competitor too.
Well, because you're going to, let's face it, you're going to coach realistically 4 times as long as, maybe not 4 times, twice as long as you were a competitor.
Absolutely.
So there's more time to gain your reward and to measure success as you get into your late 30s, 40s, 50s. Hell, you might be coaching until you're 70.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's not always the case, right? People don't always, I do plan on coaching for that long, but that isn't always the case with people. It's really hard to do when you have, a full-time job, not just that, but it's a family business that we're trying to take into the 3rd generation, which is difficult, right? And that demands a lot of my time as well as this. So it's really difficult to do, although I plan to do it for a long time. Also in my plans is to have a family, and this does hinder that a little bit since I spend so much time doing it, and that is something that is a goal of mine. So how that all is going to come together is a mystery, but for right now, I love giving back to these guys, and they pour just as much energy into me as I do to them. So for right now, we're going to keep going with this.
Are you married?
I'm not. No, I'm single.
Well, one day, the woman you marry, the right woman to marry, will understand your passion. Or else, guess what? Don't marry her. That's my little word of advice to you. She'll get it. She'll understand.
Yeah. I don't know. I might protect the business and not get married.
No,
at all, but we'll see how it plays out.
All right. So after Clearview, okay, successful high school career. Couple times state medal. What did you do?
Yeah, I took 5th as a freshman. Like I said, I was a super wrestling nerd growing up, and then took 5th as a freshman. Didn't place my sophomore, junior year, which is where that started simulating the more social life stuff during that time. And then I took 4th as a senior. I lost in the semifinals to Dave McFadden, an all-time great New Jersey guy, 4-time All-American for Virginia Tech. And then
where'd he go? DePaul? Was he at DePaul Catholic?
He was DePaul, yeah.
DePaul Catholic, yeah.
Yep. So I lost to him. I took 4th that year, but then Rutgers came in 11th hour, gave me a good shot, and I ended up being only one of 2 guys that finished and graduated from our recruiting class, which featured some state champs from other states, 2-time state champ from New Jersey. So Yeah, it was really difficult to make it at that next level. But like I said, I give a lot of credit to Clearview and obviously the resources I had in college to get me through some of that stuff.
So you got a degree. You got your degree at Rutgers?
Got my undergrad and I got my master's degree at Rutgers.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's good stuff.
There was a 5-year master's program for the major that I was doing, and I was going to be there as I redshirted my true freshman year, so I knew I was going to be there for 5 years. Felt like a good thing to get the master's degree, so that's what happened.
That's awesome. Yeah. So what do you think, what are your general opinions? You're rooted in South Jersey.
Yeah.
And for those who are watching that don't know where this is, if you're looking at South Jersey, it's on the left-hand side of South Jersey, in between Camden and the Delaware Memorial Bridge.
Yeah.
That's roughly, where we are. Yeah. And let's have a real conversation here, because I'm from South Jersey. I grew up in Burlington County. Yeah. South Jersey at one time was a mecca. The traditional Region 7 and 8, half of those kids, half of the state champs would be from 7 or 8. South Jersey's fallen off. Even with the realignment, yes, you have your good kids from South Jersey, don't get me wrong, but the number of kids doing really well in the state tournament are steadily just declining. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I think everything's relative, right? So you're considering South Jersey
traditional,
right? Your traditional South Jersey is really one region, maybe 1.5 regions, right? Yeah. It's Region 8 and some of Region 7. So numbers-wise, you're only going to qualify so many compared to the 6 regions, So I understand what you're saying, that like numbers fall off, but also not a lot of those South Jersey kids can qualify, right? So as far as, take the qualifiers in regions 1 through 6, and then you have your 2 in South Jersey, it's tough.
I guess what I'm saying is, at one time, on a regular basis, the biggest names in New Jersey wrestling were South Jersey kids.
Yeah.
I can run you a list right now of who I'm talking about. Although there's a plethora, although there are plenty of kids who are very talented and who are big names, all the big names have started to gradually move up north.
Right.
Sure, has always been the case, but what is it? Is it a lack of resource? Is it a lack of interest from the kids? Is it coaching philosophy? What do you think? Why there's been a drop off? And I just want your opinion on why the drop off has occurred.
Yeah, no, I think that per capita, obviously, population wise, North Jersey is just outrageous. So if let's say you're looking for a lot of partners your size and age and skill level, you're just going to have a lot more people in your area, right? There's clubs all over the place up there, right? You got Iron Horse, you got Edge, you got Elite, you got a whole bunch of different clubs up there that you can pop around to. You got Troy Heilman's clubs at High Pace, and I think maybe wrestling just got more popular in North Jersey than it had been at a couple decades past, because let's just say it was a lot more popular in South Jersey back then, and then it builds popularity, right? More people want to do it in North Jersey, and now they get all into it. Whereas, South Jersey, you just don't have as many people living here, right? You got the Pinelands, you got Woodstown and all the Millvilles and the Elks, where people live really spread out, and there's a lot of farmland, and people are just more spread out. I think it's more difficult for that sense. Like, just as an example, you have guys from the shore driving up here to come wrestle, right? For club, where you don't have so many. There'd be 10 clubs in North Jersey in the same span of area that South Jersey would cover. So I think there's a lot of factors. What do you think it is?
I think it's South Jersey in general. Let's go break it down even. excuse me, further. South of 195. Mm-hmm. South of 195, offhand, you have Elite. You have Seagull, you have Lamb Trained, Immortal, I think Wrecking Crew's back. Mm-hmm. Orchard, I believe.
Yep.
American.
Yep.
Am I missing anyone?
Sure Thing.
No, that's north.
That's a little
that's right. Yeah, they're south of 195. Yeah. But I shouldn't even include Elite and Sure Thing, because that's more of a Shore's like their own area. But for as big as South Jersey is, there's not a lot of resources for kids. However, that's the way it always was. And South Jersey dominated. They dominated. And South Jersey kicked everyone's ass not that long ago.
I'll say this.
Not that long ago.
I'll say this, which would be good information for you, is South Jersey doesn't get as much respect as far as the off-season programs go. North Jersey has a pretty good control over what happens in the off-season as far as the freestyle season goes, right? There's a whole training program from after states all the way through July.
The RTCs
right?
are more north.
No, I'm talking about for like Fargo, right? The Team New Jersey stuff, right?
Yeah.
All of that stuff is we don't have a lot of say and resources in what goes on with that, right? Like there's cadet duels, there's junior duels, right? If I try to get a guy on junior duels or a cadet duels team, it is going to be exponentially more difficult to get them on that team, as you say, any North Jersey guy, right? They have a good handle on what goes on with that. So if I'm trying to get a guy, let's just say, on this year's junior duels team, right? They're gonna come to me and say, "Hey, that spot's already filled by a North Jersey guy."
I agree with you. No, it makes sense.
Are they doing anything wrong? I don't know. It's really difficult to make a team like that, right? Whoever's coaching the team should get a little bit of say in who is on the team, right? Because they're taking the time out of their busy schedule to travel out with the kids and coach them, right? So there's a lot of factors. So, yeah, resources-wise, I don't think we're on equal playing fields to kind of play devil's advocate with what you were saying.
Of course.
So, yeah.
Yeah, no, listen, it's we could talk about that for an hour, and it's always interesting, and I like to pick wrestling minds when it comes to that.
Yeah.
And if you're a historian, I don't know if you consider yourself a historian. I do consider myself as a historian. I see the landscape is completely changed. And I just we'll never know what it is exactly. We can speculate, we can guess, we can have an opinion, but coming from a South Jersey guy, it bothers me. That's all. It bothers me. If there's ever that, North versus South argument or good versus bad, however you want to, and playfully say it, we're just not, the North would kick our ass.
Yeah, listen.
They would just kick our ass, period.
And I respect respect your opinion on that for sure. Yeah. The reason why it doesn't take up too much of my mind is I really feel like it's a zero-sum game, right? And competing with North Jersey, it helps us, to have that competition on the back burner. It helps us get better, but when it comes down to it, we're all one state. We're New Jersey, you know what I'm saying?
I agree with you.
So to act like one state is something that I think will help us rather than hurt us as far as continuously trying to separate ourselves and comparing each other. I think it helps us to a certain point, but for it to take up a lot of mind space, I think is like I said, a zero-sum game.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
So tell me more about Seagull here. Like you're the head coach.
Yep.
Okay. Is there anything? Can you tell us a little bit about your staff, other coaches that come in here, and what's the philosophy here at Seagull?
Yeah, we got a great staff and community, and I don't want to leave anybody out, but I'm going to go by name on them. Matt Careni, Mike Crowley, Trace Kinner, Toby Haig, Gabe Honorado, Hunter Gandy. Listen, I'm sure there's guys I'm missing, but I'm just going to throw like the ones right off the top of my head to you. Amazing staff, a lot of guys coming from Division I. Zach Firestone, I want to mention that he's been doing great work with the lower weights, which we've needed. We got great upper weight coaches with Kareni and me and Toby, so to have a lower weight guy has been really helping. But the coaching staff is amazing. They will do one-on-ones, privates, on and off the mat stuff, hang out with the guys, take them to dinner, whatever they need that my coaching staff will do. And this place can't run without them. And more of what I do, you can call me the head coach, but I really just orchestrate a community of people and keep them together.
Yeah, I get it.
Not only is it just the resources of coaches that I have, but the guys that come in here are so welcoming with everybody. They created a community, and my job is really just to keep that community together and keep them moving in the right direction. So you call me the coach of it, but I'm just like the orchestrator, and they're all the musicians, and they're doing the work. I'm just
what are your fees here?
We are $500 for about a 3-month span. So we practice 3 times a week for 3 months, and it's about $500.
Okay.
You get a lot for that. We get about 80 kids in here usually on Tuesdays. Thursdays, you probably lose about 10, 15 guys, and then Sundays are a little bit more small group.
80 on Tuesday. So tonight will be
tonight
roughly 80 kids?
you're going to see this place filled up tonight,
good.
for sure.
I like it. So is it what's the turnover here? Like, in other words, if a kid signs up, does he hang around? Or are you getting more new kids than you've ever seen before? Or is it, talk about that.
Yeah, so I mean, our biggest year numbers-wise was after Richie Grungo won his state title, right? And then that day, the first day of practice that day was 120 kids in here.
Oh, wow.
That was a kind of an outlier as far as that goes, but as far as turnover goes, pretty much every year we're around that 80 to 90 range of members, and whether they stick around or not is really depends on if they're a good fit for the program, right? Not everybody is a good fit for what we do here. It is an elite level club where it gets intense in here, right? There's a lot of live wrestling. There's people talking high level technique, and if you aren't keeping up with that, that's fine. You can catch up pretty quickly, but if you're intimidated by that environment, it might not be the best thing for you, right? And so to that point, listen, I wish I could spend all day running different types of classes, beginner level classes, and then, just Greco, just freestyle, just folk style, just top bottom. I don't have that type of time on my hands. Obviously, I'm helping to build a family business too. So, but if I could, I would develop all those types of classes. It's just pretty strictly, and not strictly, we like that. I will never say no to anybody coming in here if they're younger, older. Girls come free, so that's something that we do that's really cool. But we really are strong in the lower to middleweight high school boys range, where we got a lot of partners and a lot of good technique for that.
Do you accept drop-ins?
We do accept drop-ins, yeah. $20 drop-in fee, pretty reasonable, and we all that money ends up going back to the club somehow. So.
Okay, awesome. Now, drop a name. Who's the longest tenured Seagull that's currently in high school?
The longest tenured Seagull that is currently in high school is Ryan McConaughey.
Really? West Africa? He was on we had him on.
Yeah, Ryan McConaughey, he is a graduating senior, obviously, so he just committed to Glenville State. He's going to join our Seagulls coach, Gabe Honorado, over there.
That's awesome.
And Roman Honorado is there, too, so he's going to join them, but since he is so close to leaving for college, he would be our longest tenured.
I love it. Yeah, he's a good kid. Yeah, we did have the pleasure of having him on here. Nice. So what else? Now tell me about when Coach John, now I'm talking about you, what is if I had to tell you to pick one that you're best at coaching wise, top, bottom, or neutral?
I have a philosophy of wrestling that really ties into all the different, top, bottom, and neutral positions, but I was the best on top, and I also feel like there is very limited coaching in that area, so I'm going to go with my best coaching spot is top.
Like it. Okay. Be specific on top.
Yeah. Specific on top. I was a pinner in high school, so I like to teach people how to pin, but I got a lot of good tilt. So roll back half tilt is kind of my forte. Okay,
I like it. Now, growing up, who was the coach of Seagull when you were coming up?
Yes, so Pete was the coach of Seagull growing up.
Who?
DiBiase.
Pete DiBiase.
Pete DiBiase was the Seagull coach when I was growing up. Now, like I said, we're strong in that high school range and not so much in that middle school, elementary school range. I started in elementary school and there was a different guy. His name was Mike Campbell. He was the head of the youth program at the time. Okay. And then once I got into high school, I went to Pete, and then there was no longer Mike Campbell running that youth program. So Pete ended up being for the high school.
Okay, so this club has been around a lot. We're going, 3-4 decades?
Yeah, 3-4 decades. Yeah, maybe even 5. Yeah. You're talking somewhere in the 80s, possibly late 70s.
Late 70s, yeah. And it's one of the, I don't know the history of what was first, but I know for a fact this is one of the, if not the longest tenured USA Wrestling sanctioned clubs in the country, the state?
Yeah, I think, this is the longest USA Wrestling sanctioned club in New Jersey. I'm pretty sure that's a fact. Yeah, that's been thrown around a few times, so if anybody has any information to combat that.
It's pretty cool. Now, the name Seagull, if you're not familiar with Seagull, you would assume it's down by the shore.
Yeah.
But it's not. Well, we're down by the water, the Delaware River. Yeah. But so any kind of history on where that name came from?
Yeah, so the history of Seagull Wrestling Club, it was named after a book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and it's a book about a seagull, and it pretty much just takes you into their mind. But pretty much the premise of the book is this seagull doesn't fit in with the other seagulls for a couple of different reasons. Can't fly as high for a wing defect or whatever it is, and he thinks that he's not as good for that reason. And then the book premise is that not only is he as good, but he's even more valuable than most for his special condition and skills.
Interesting, so, I like it.
Yeah.
Now, do you, if an opportunity ever, comes about for you to wrestle, coach high school, would you ever consider that opportunity?
High school coaching is not on my radar only because of the schedule of it, right? So you are having 2:30 to 5 o'clock practice. Mm-hmm. My schedule during the day is 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and I can't really make 2:30 work. So it would be really difficult for me to do that. Helping out with a high school is fine, but I just wouldn't be able to take on the responsibility of the whole.
So you said you operate a custom swimming pool business? Yes. Do you guys work through the winter?
We do work through the winter, yeah. Okay. We probably stop construction a week or two into January, and then restart a week or two into March, so there's a month and a half lull. But I put in so many hours during this time, summer and fall, that time is...
What's the name of your business?
Served. It is Pools and Spas by Van Brill.
Pools and Spas by... We got to plug it, right? Pools and Spas by Van Brill. It's good stuff.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, no, who cares? So that would be the reason you wouldn't?
That would be the reason I wouldn't. Yeah, the schedule doesn't fit. And then, there's a lot of things that I don't have to do when high school. I respect the high school coaches in the fact that they have to deal with people in the room that don't really want to be there.
I know.
Right? And that's something that I don't really have to deal with.
Administrations and boards of education.
Yeah, all that.
I know.
All that, yeah.
I do credit them for the same exact reason. And I often find myself wondering, do the really good coaches choose to stay inside the club room for those same reasons?
That is why, not just the schedule, but that is something that I wouldn't want to have to deal with, right? Yeah. There's people in there that you're trying to motivate to give effort, right? And that's something I don't really want to coach. I want somebody coming in with like the passion to want to get better, that really wants to get better and put in the time to learn and perfect the craft, where I can't really police somebody's effort, which is where I give a lot of credit to high school coaches.
Yeah. So has high school wrestling evolved? Is it evolving faster than you can keep up?
Not faster than I can keep up with it. I'll keep up with it as fast as...
How do you find yourself, is just coaching actively, like there's got to be ways that John Van Brill keeps up. How do you keep up with the sport?
Yeah, I keep up by watching a lot of film. I watch a lot of wrestling. I'm a big fan of it. So we have a TV in here right behind me that when I see a big U.S. Open, right? The U.S. Open was a couple weeks ago. We're pulling film from the U.S. Open and going over specific positions, and then we're taking the National Freestyle Duels film and we're comparing that to the U.S. Open technique and what we got to do better. So it's watching wrestling. It's staying a student of the game. Okay.
If you had to name one coach whose brain you still pick about this sport to this day, what coach would that be?
Yeah, the guy who's...
Or wrestler or whoever.
Yeah, Joe Pollard.
Really?
Yeah, okay. Joe Pollard was my assistant coach at Rutgers, and we always talk technique. We're sending each other clips and stuff.
He's a brainiac, man. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Yeah, that's a good guy to. Hey Joe, I've got a question about this. It's interesting because listen, we all have, no matter how old you get, how experienced you get, we all have mentors. We all have people who we trust and rely on for that little, hey, what do you think here? And that's good that you still have that.
Yeah.
So what can we expect tonight when we start rolling these cameras?
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of chaos going on in here. Yeah. So I'm going to try to keep it held back for you for a little bit until we finish this up. But first 15 minutes, you're going to see a very intense handball game. Shirts versus skins, right? So the handball is going to get intense, and then right after that, We're going to put them through a quick warm-up. Usually I let them spar in the beginning of practice just to switch around partners, to get the little guys rolling with the big guys. And, somebody who doesn't usually get to partner with somebody who's a little bit better, they can kind of mix in and get a good partner group. And then we'll go through a couple different technique things that I saw at Northeast over the weekend. I'm going to pick Kareni's brain. I'm going to pick Toby's brain, Trace's brain about some of the things that we could do to fix for Freestyle States this weekend. Okay. And then we're going to do that in the technique portion from 7:30 to about 8 o'clock, 8:10. And then we'll do about 20 minutes of live at the end, try to perfect some of those techniques that we're working on.
I love it.
Yeah.
Final question. Who's the handball GOAT?
The handball GOAT. I can't believe I'm saying this guy's name twice, but the best handball player outside of me is Ryan McConaughey.
Ryan McConaughey getting double love here from Coach John. I love it.
We got a lot of good handball players. John Anthony plays some good handball.
Okay.
Kareni plays really good handball too. But as far as the kids go, his shot doesn't miss.
I love it.
His shot doesn't miss.
Coach John Van Brill, listen, we appreciate you having you on, man.
Yeah.
And thanks for inviting us in, and we're going to have a good night tonight, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
John Van Brill.
Attention, wrestling fans, parents, and future state champs. This is your podcast. We're shining a light on the toughest high school New Jersey wrestlers and coaches who are building warriors one takedown at a time. Follow us, like, and subscribe on your favorite platform. Doesn't cost you anything, but it goes a long way to support the show. Don't just watch the journey, be part of it.